There was in the minds of these men gathered at Casablanca a vast plan, already well along the first phases of its development. The bold North African landing had been accomplished, but its eastward extension had only begun, and Tunis was still far off. As they sit for these pictures, each knows months in advance of the plan to invade Sicily, most ambitious single stride in the march toward Rome and Berlin. To take Sicily by amphibious assault, it was first necessary to neutralize 32 square miles of volcanic rock in the Mediterranean, only 45 miles from the African mainland. The island fortress of Pantelleria. For 8 busy years, the Italian fascists labored to convert this island into a Gibraltar of the central Mediterranean, the body of water which Mussolini fondly called Mare Nostrum, our sea. Vast underground hangars flanked the Spadillo airfield. Heavy guns ringed the coastline. The good harbor to the north provided a cozy nest for submarines, and the well-stocked garrison of about 12,000 troops was ordered by Mussolini to hold on at all costs. As part of General Eisenhower's broad plan to make the Mediterranean our sea and to secure the approaches to continental Europe, the task of reducing Pantelleria was placed high on the list. With the designation of Lieutenant General Carl Spaatz as Air Commander-in-Chief of this operation, the massed strength of air power would have its opportunity. The doctrine that air assault alone could force the surrender of a strong point was still only doctrine. Air power would have the chance to justify itself as a primary assault weapon, with all other arms and branches acting in support. In the mobilization of North African Allied air power, the heavy, medium bombers, and long-range escorts of the North African Strategic Air Force under General Doolittle would furnish the main bludgeoning power. This was augmented by a few heavy and medium bomber groups of General Brereton's 9th Air Force. The formidable striking power of Air Marshal Cunningham's North African Tactical Air Force, which included, in addition to fighters, an important force of medium, light, and fighter bombers. And the bombers and fighters of Air Marshal Broadhurst's Desert Air Force. All these forces were assembled to test General Doolittle's assertion that if you destroy what a man has and remove the possibility of his bringing more in, then in due course of time it becomes impossible for him to defend himself. As the plan was worked out, high-altitude fortress waves were to make their run. Then the medium-altitude two-engine bomber waves, and then the low-altitude fighter bomber waves, with American manned Spitfires flying high and intermediary cover. However, it was an experiment to be confined within strict limits of time. If by 10:30 of the morning of June 11, 1943, the island of Pantelleria did not strike its colors, previously planned amphibious operations would take effect. These, then, were the conditions and the fixed purpose of the combined air forces, to gain the capitulation of Pantelleria by air assault alone.
Gentlemen, the target for today is
Pantelleria, and the target for tomorrow and the day after. General Spaatz's tactics called for round-the-clock bombing from dawn to dark. Not area bombing, but the bombing of specific assigned targets. The north side of the island was to be neutralized first. Stress would not be placed on airdrome or harbor installations, but on the heaviest possible bombing of defenses. Coastal guns enjoyed the highest priority before their obliteration shifted the weight of attack to other targets. The most ideal conditions for this historic test were provided by the excellent work of the service forces in the rear. Of inestimable value was the tight sea blockade provided by the Royal Navy, with its consequent attrition of morale and materiel. Indeed, in the latter phases of this operation, the Royal Navy assisted with the bombardment of the island coastline on 6 separate occasions, forcing the garrison to betray the location of artillery emplacements to our bombers.